Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Senior Living Today. With me today is Sandy McGill, a resident at our Springfield Masonic Community. And also with us is Melissa Todd, Corporate Sales Manager for the Ohio Masonic Communities. I just want to thank you both for joining me today.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
Sandy, since this is your first time on our podcast this season, would you mind telling our listeners just a little bit about yourself and how long you've lived at Springfield Masonic Community?
Well, I grew up and I was born and raised in Oberlin, Ohio. I met my second husband in 1980-ish, and we were both living up near the Lake Erie, Cleveland area. And we met and got married, and then we lived in we were there for 25 years and went to Illinois for about 10, but we always knew we would be coming to the Masonic home at some point. Then we finally did. We've been here 4 years. It was 4 years this month that we moved in.
Wow. Well, happy anniversary.
Yeah, thank you. It is the fastest 4 years I've ever had. But yeah, so that's it.
Well, Sandy, we're so happy that you chose to call our community home. Today, we are actually going to be talking about independent living, what it is, who it might be right for. And Melissa, if you don't mind to start us off, would you give us a brief overview about what independent living is and what the living accommodations look like, what kind of amenities are included and who it might be right for?
Absolutely. Independent living at any of our 3 campuses can look a little different depending on where you're at, whether you're at Springfield, Browning, or Western Reserve Masonic Community. But a good conjunction of the concept of independent living is this maintenance-free, socially empowering lifestyle. So at all 3 of our communities, there is maintenance-free living that's offered and included, no matter if you are in an independent living villa, whether you're in a duplex, whether you're in an apartment. We kind of have 2 avenues for that independent living, but both include some different amenities and features. And of course, they have a range of square footage. Some of them are 850 square feet. Others are 1,800 square feet. Some have 1-car garages. Some have 2-car garages. We can even throw in basements and sunrooms, depending on what campus you're at. But there's a lot of different independent living options within our 3 communities.
And Sandy, could you tell us a little bit about what your living space is like at Springfield and which living option you chose?
Well, I don't remember how much square footage I have. When they were showing us around, we would qualify either for an apartment or a villa. And they showed us both options. I said, I don't want a villa. I am in a home and I don't want one because I don't want to move again. So we got an apartment, not even knowing which one we were going to get. When our house finally sold, I simply called Brian. I said, okay, I got to have a place to live. My kids moved us in here because my husband had fallen and had to have a shoulder replacement 2 weeks before we moved in. So the kids moved us in under a little bit of hesitation, feeling that, no, you're doing the right thing, until they opened our door and called me and said, well, we're wrong. So we moved in and right in the middle of COVID. Hey, why not? Right?
Why not?
Why not? So we moved in and I just felt like I was living in a motel because everybody was in their rooms. We had to go get our meals and bring them back because the dining room was closed, which coincidentally helped me very quickly get the house organized because I had nothing else to do. So somebody once said to me, well, how long did it take you to get used to being here? I said, about 2 weeks, because I had it all done and I was just sitting here. So
not bad.
Yeah, it was not bad at all. And but it was really much better when we were able to see people, although we only saw them from the eyes up. And when we first took masks off, I said, well, I know your eyes, but I don't know you. And I didn't recognize them. But yeah, so we hear. And the reason I wanted to be in an apartment, my husband does woodworking. And it took him 4 hours to go around here looking at stuff because he kept going back to the wood shop. And I knew that's where he would go. And he now runs the wood shop, and life is amazing. Just amazing.
So one of the things, Sandy, that we hear from people when they are looking at senior living, a lot of times they don't even consider independent living because they look at it as I'll move when I have a health need that requires me to move into, either assisted living or skilled nursing. And from listening to your story, it sounds like you and Ken were both, in pretty good health when you moved in and decided to make that move into independent living anyways. So knowing that there was a continuum of care at our community, did that influence your decision to move to Springfield, or what else prompted you to make that move?
The move was prompted by the fact that my husband is a Mason, and we always knew at some point we would come. The only thing that I regret is that we did not come sooner, because he immediately had some health issues with back surgery. And so that kind of limited his stuff, but his back has really recuperated well. And now he's able to do what he needs to do. But anybody I see that's walking the halls and doing a tour, I said, if you got to come now while you can. I said, because there's too much to do. So when you can do it, you don't get the full benefit. And so that I tell Brian, I said, now do I get paid for that? He says, well, I'll see what I can do. But yeah, I wanted to be with the people and where my husband could be doing things. He's 10 years older than I am. And so I wanted him to be able to benefit from this before. And then I also knew, one of my children asked me the other day, he says, now, are you organized? And I said, now, what do you mean by that? And I said, well, here's what I can tell you. I said, we moved in here. We're in independent living. We can go to assisted living. Then we can go to pathways. We could go to healthcare, then pathways. I said, and then we can go to the cemetery. Now, how much better can it be? That was it. He said, well, I guess you do have it covered. So we tried.
It does take that stress out of planning if anything with your health were to change.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we've had experience. It wasn't in our game plan to have this experience, but we've had experience with the healthcare facility. Within 3 to 4 months after we moved in with my husband's surgery, he was supposed to be able to come home, which he did. And by Monday, I called and I said, Dave, I can't take care of him. Not even knowing how it worked. I just, I said, can he go to Rickley? Because I was naive. I didn't know. I just thought they went there. And he said, it doesn't work that way, but give me a few hours or give me a little bit. And within 3 hours, he was in the nursing care. Not that I could see him, but at least I knew he was taken care of. And that was a huge relief to me. Huge.
Absolutely. That's such a huge benefit. And like I said, it really just takes the stress out of those stressful situations as they already exist, not having to worry about, finding a new place to move to. And then you and him also got to stay in the same community, which is important as well.
Right. We're not from Springfield. We lived in Bay Village before. We first looked at Western Reserve, but at the time we were living in Illinois. So on the way home, we looked here. And so here we are. Here we are.
Well, we're happy you're here.
Thank you. We are too.
So, Melissa, in your position as the corporate sales manager, you see couples as well as single individuals who move into independent living across all of our communities. So what do you commonly hear as the reasons for them wanting to make that move to independent living?
We have such a wide variety of reasons that are triggering a move. Sandy, I applaud you because you seem like a proactive planner. You're looking at you and Ken and going, he is 10 years older. He might need a little something before I do, but gee, isn't it great that I benefited? Because you know that you're safe, he's safe, and no matter what happens, you're here at a campus that can help in a split second with a solution, or maybe a couple hours, like you said. But still, that's a pretty good turnaround on a result. So it really depends. The reasoning is, behind whether someone is single or they are still a couple, because we often think we're doing something for our spouse, to protect them, to plan for them, which is a beautiful thing that comes with marriage. But I also see a lot of single people move into our campuses who are triggered by the need for socialization. Their friend group is dwindling. Their friend group has moved away to be near family. Their day-to-day is changing in their network, and they're seeking that. So it could be a need for socialization. Maybe they're feeling isolated or depressed. Some cases, it involves the ability to drive or their own personal health experiences. We have a lot of people, who have macular degeneration. They are fully competent, physical, able-bodied, but now one of their senses is failing them. And they're saying, wouldn't it be nice to be on a campus that provides transportation if I need it? If my eyesight gets to the point where it's a concern for me to drive at night or even during the day. We see a lot of families relocating to be closer to family. And most importantly, we have a lot of planners. There's a lot of people who want to have an answer for everything. And although we don't have this crystal ball and, you didn't know you were going to need the healthcare center as soon as you did, Sandy, but that's the reality. We have a lot of planners and they want to be proactive for all of the what ifs. What's going to happen tomorrow? What's going to happen next month and next year? And how can I ensure that I'm on a community that's going to put me into this continuum of care that has the solution, even if I don't know how I need it? So lots of varieties from people sparking their interest for moving in. I would say the last one would probably be just the realization that their home is too big for them. They've outgrown it. They're looking at the spaces that they use day to day, and it's one bedroom, a kitchen, and a laundry room. And they're going, why do we have 4 guest bedrooms? I can't even clean that if I wanted to, nor do I want to clean it anymore. So just kind of the home environment, that downsize, what's reasonable, what's able for someone to maintain. We see a lot of that driving folks' decision to move to either one of the villas or an apartment.
And Melissa, I do want to go back because you mentioned life enrichment and socialization as being a big reason for individuals and couples wanting to make this move to independent living. Can you touch on some of the activities that new residents might find at our communities?
Oh, sure. So we at each campus have a wonderful life enrichment director. There's a different individual that leads each care area. But for independent living, it's a lot about, creating this wish list within the community. What do we want to do? What have we done in the past? What was fun? What would be a new adventure? It could be something as simple as a cookout in the summer, maybe an outing to a play, a concert, a museum, a local attraction. I know that there's a lot of different groups. Sandy mentioned woodworking. So there's bird watching clubs. There's the wood shop. There's gardening. It's really, what are the hobbies you have that you're worried about losing, and how can we help improve those and make them more accessible to you? So I really think it's a well-rounded program. There's different spiritual and religious, meetings or connectivity. There's choirs, even a pool table. There's so many different hobbies that folks are going to tap into. And then they're going to find a network of other people that enjoy those same hobbies, make some new friends, because we know that it's easier to make friends with someone who has similar interests. So that's probably the biggest part of the socialization calendar, is finding what you like and then going for it.
And Sandy, I know you and Ken are involved in quite a few of the community programs at Springfield Masonic Community. So was it easy for you guys to get involved, and how did you get involved in those groups?
Well, Ken immediately was involved, because when we moved in, they said, do you think you would like to run the wood shop? I said, well, yeah. And
Absolutely.
So he immediately got into that. I had our activities director come to me one day and said, now you can always say no, but I have somebody that thinks you might fit in with working the boutique. So I said yes. And then they said, oh, by the way, we would like to have you come and work activities. And so, yeah, I said yes. And then by the time I started meeting people and knowing, finding out things that people like to do and different stuff, it just all blossomed. And I always say, a bunch of us sit around and talk, and we'll say, if anybody's bored here, it's because they won't get out and socialize, because there's no reason to be. And my kids said, are you ever home? And I said, between midnight and 6, you can get me. I said, because I don't take my phone with me.
The short window.
But yeah, it was not difficult for me. And what is interesting is I was not a social person in my home. I just was in my home. But here you can be social because you're with everybody at dinner or at whatever. And so it was, I became a little bit maybe too busy. But I say, I can sleep when I die, let me go. And I just do what I can do. So
that's such a beautiful attitude.
Yeah. I got to get rid of this stuff so I can go back. Yeah. But I absolutely love it. And I just think that people, and I also have learned that if you're going to go to a retirement place, that you have to be ready. If someone says you have to go, then you're a little reserved and you feel like you don't want to be there. And, we can try and pull them out of their shell, but you really, if you're really ready, it makes it so much easier for the transition. And again, if they come when they are able to do something, it makes a whole difference, whole difference in the world.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's only my opinion.
Well, no, I think that's great advice, Sandy. So speaking of staying busy, I know that you are the president of Sprig. So can you tell us a little bit about what that group is and how that's been going?
Okay. Well, Sprig was another interesting. Yes, I got involved because I heard about it, but I didn't understand it. So I said, okay, somebody needs to explain this. And they were, and I said, wait a minute. I said, we are the largest and the oldest campus, and we don't have it here? Oh, so you want to be chairman? There we go. That's how I got into it. And Sprig is, it means special people reinvesting in good. And it's a miniature fundraiser so that monies that are made go back into the foundation to support our community for whatever they need. If it's to help someone in need, whether it's to get medical equipment, regardless of what it is, it goes back into the community. I met great reserve with it when I started it. And we only had 6 weeks to get our first, because I learned about it in September. And in December, we had our first big fundraiser, which was Festival of Wreaths. Mm-hmm. And I have such a great group of people that believed in what I was believing in to help me make it a success. And in 6 weeks' time, we put this magical thing on that I had no idea. And we raised almost $10,000 in 6 weeks. Well, now they know that that it is something that,
Oh, my goodness.
I was pleasantly pleased, and I'm getting people more involved. And that's how it started. And so I'm hoping that it can continue. So,
and look at the opportunities. If you moved in, you could join a board, a committee, or volunteer.
Oh, volunteer is too much what I already do. Because I volunteer in the boutique and I volunteer in activities, and I was working the sewing room for a while, and and now I've got Sprig, and I do something on Monday night and Tuesday night and Wednesday night, Thursday and Friday's happy hour. Gotta have happy hour. And
the best part of the week.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. My kid said, I've never heard you be so relaxed. I said, because I don't worry about anything. I just go there and live and get up in the morning and whatever we do, we do. And I had a gentleman one time, I met him in the tunnel. He said, I have a question for you. I said, okay, but don't make it hard. I said, it's late in the day. He said, no, it won't be hard. He said, are you on staff or do you live here? I said, well, I live here, but I feel like I'm on staff. No, I said, I'm a resident. I said, I'm on the second floor. He said, well, I see you everywhere. I said, I know, sorry.
Oh, that gives you so much purpose, though, to wake up every morning and have purpose to go, go, go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's just, I think it's marvelous and perfect for us. And anybody who wants some kind of social life, it's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So
I know another social activity that you and Ken are part of is the pool group that we have at Springfield Masonic Community. So were you and Ken regular pool players before you moved here, or was that a new hobby that you got into?
Oh, that's new.
That's new.
Yeah, we have a gentleman and his wife that moved in. They live in the villas, and he's the pool guy. And so then we became involved with that. And yeah, it's just, I said, why not? And it's wonderful.
So Sandy, is there any advice that you would have for someone who's considering moving to independent living or to a senior living community, but is maybe on the fence because they don't need care yet?
Well, I've spoken, a number of people have asked me about that. And I simply tell them that my regret was we didn't come sooner. And so if you're able and you're thinking, just do it. And don't be afraid, because the people are amazing. The staff is unbelievable. And any worry that you may have, someone will help you get through that, whether it be a staff member or another resident. They will work you through that. And you'll never be alone. You just will never be alone unless you choose to be.
Sure.
That's what I tell them. So.
And Melissa, I know that that's something that I've heard a lot. I'm sure you've probably heard it a lot, that people always say that they wish they would have moved sooner.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the reality is there ever really a good time to move? If you look back into your life, whether it's a parents that made you move, when you're a young adolescent or you're an adult moving into your first home or out of state, there's always something that's triggering a move. And I'm not saying that's not going to, be a big change, because it is. But it's a lot in your perspective. And like Sandy said, like if you decide and you pull the trigger and you make the dive into this commitment, you have to go into it willingly, and it's going to open up so many doors that you're not even thinking about, because you're surrounded by what you consider a home. And there's this philosophy, as folks age, is they associate being independent with owning a home and paying taxes and having property. And the reality is, as Sandy has shared, it's so much more than that. Being independent is about, yes, your physical health, but also your mental health and your emotional health. And when we see the folks in independent living move, they have this weight lifted off them, because it is a fresh start, as every move tends to be, whether it was for a new job or a career change or you're downsizing. It doesn't matter why you're moving. You can move at any age with the right attitude. You just got to be ready to do it and surround yourself with family, friends, and the right moving resources. That's always key. I help a lot of families with that, to give them peace of mind that this move is going to go seamless, and how to stay organized during the move. And yes, you might misplace where the extra light bulbs are for a week, but as Sandy said, you'll find them in about a week or two, and they'll have a new home and a new place in that linen closet. And I promise it will be okay.
Yeah.
Well, Sandy and Melissa, I want to thank you both again for joining me today. It was such a pleasure having you guys with us. Sandy, you shared some really helpful information, and I also appreciate you sharing your own personal story about your move to our community. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. I'm pleased to be here. I'm lucky to be here. That's what I think.
And we're lucky to have you.
Thank you.
For all of our listeners, please be sure to tune into our next podcast in 2 weeks, where we will be discussing financial planning and how it relates to making the move to senior living and planning for your retirement. As always, be sure to like and subscribe to the Senior Living Today podcast so you never miss a new episode, and we will be back again in 2 weeks.